Yes. How many times have we been speaking about Jadon Sancho over the course of this summer, last summer, the summer before? It feels like he's a constant in the window. Could he have a new club in this country? We know that a number of sides in Serie A tried to sign him earlier in the summer. He got close to potentially going to Roma, but turned that deal down. He is now potentially going to be heading to Aston Villa. Just 1 point from their 3 games so far for Unai Emery, but could they be about to get a new winger? What we know is that Aston Villa are currently in talks with Manchester United over a potential deal. The deal under discussion would be a loan. He has 1 year left on his Old Trafford contract, but the club do have an option to extend that for a further year, so potentially he could have 2 years on his deal. He's on big wages, surplus to requirements at Manchester United, and Aston Villa are currently talking to his personal representatives over the personal terms, which at this stage we don't know whether that will be a problem or not. But significantly, after their poor start to the season, Aston Villa could be about to get some much needed Premier League experience.
How could Aston Villa afford him? Because we've been hearing about them having real problems with PSR and probably can only do loan deals or very cheap buys at this stage. So how can they afford those huge wages?
Well, potentially, because there's no huge fee attached in purchasing the player, that's obviously a massive saving that they can do. We know that they were fined by UEFA last season because they failed to meet the requirements with regards to the financial fair play rules, which are UEFA's rules. Premier League's is PSR, profit and sustainability. So Aston Villa have had to be really careful about the business they do. It's come to a lot of it's been a real frustration for a lot of Aston Villa fans because they see this ambitious football club that wants to compete at the highest level, but the rules are stopping them from doing so. They probably didn't want to sell Jacob Ramsey to Newcastle because he's 24 years old, he's a great player, he's a young player, he's come through their system, but the rules are dictating they need to be creative financially. So this is where this type of a deal would suit Aston Villa. It's being discussed as a potential loan. There may be a loan fee attached. Manchester United may say to Aston Villa, we can pay a chunk of Jadon Sancho's wages. We want him off our wage bill. He's not going to get game time here. He wants to stay in the Premier League. So this could be a deal that suits all parties.
OK, loads more, of course, on Alexander Isak throughout the day. Charlie Austin is our guest until 10 o'clock this deadline day. Right now, we're going to play a very simple game. It's called Hit or Miss. We're going to show you a big-name player that's been on the move this summer. Charlie's going to say whether it's going to be a hit or a miss. We can all understand that, can't we? You're going to give your reasons why as well. Let's start up with Florian Wirtz to Liverpool. Hit or miss, and why?
Hit. Liverpool have not played with number 10 for a long time now, probably since Philip Coutinho was there. So I think now he's going to find his form. Listen, a second half yesterday looked touch of class all over the pitch. So for me, he'll be a big hit. International break, he's got his 3 games in, he's bedding in, come back after the break, he'll be ready to go.
OK. He's a hit. How about a guy called Benjamin Šeško? Very much in demand, wasn't he? Šeško ended up at Man United. Is this going to be a hit or a miss?
He was in demand. But I think going off what's happened at Manchester United, what's happened over the recent weeks, why he hasn't been starting, what we see at Grimsby, I'm going to go miss.
Right.
I am, yeah. As much as that's what Man United want a centre forward, we've seen their record so far. Rasmus Højlund, they've come there. Joshua Zirkzee not really took off. I don't see much difference in this guy either.
Yeah, he hasn't trusted him very much, has he, in the first couple of games?
No, he hasn't. But also, the alarming bit also, I know we can't get away from it, is number 10 penalty.
Yeah.
That's an alarming thing in itself.
But that could be the manager making that decision, wanting to protect him, right?
From what? That's the biggest thing. Protected from what? It's the damage was already done in the game to actually get into that situation. So, look, I think also his penalty record was really good. So for him to come there and be number 10, I think it was an eye-opener to a lot of people. OK. He's a miss, according to Charlie Austin. How about James Trafford back at Manchester City? Although he might have a bit more competition coming in for that number 1 spot. Is he going to be a hit or a miss there? Now what we're hearing this morning, at first I thought it'd be a hit. He'd been fantastic at Burnley, he'd been fantastic. And then he goes to Man City, although he was obviously heavily linked with Newcastle, wasn't he? He'd like to go in there, but he's gone there. I think he was going to cement himself as number 1. And now we're in the news that he's probably not. So I'm going to have to go say miss, due to the fact if Donnarumma comes in, there's your number 1, and he no longer will be. Yeah, just a reminder that Edison are currently in talks with Fenerbahce, and that could mean Donnarumma coming in sensationally last minute to Man City. How about Alejandro Garnacho then? He's moved from Manchester United to Chelsea. I'm going to go hit.
Yeah?
I do, yeah. I think a lot of players leave Man United and seem to step it up. Listen, he's got talent, obvious talent, hasn't he? And he's shown it. The problem is he's only shown it at bit parts. I think go to Chelsea, new chapter, new lease of life, and I think he'll really kick on.
Is he going to play regularly, though, looking at what they've got?
I think he will. I think he will play. I think that kind of frees up Cole Palmer, and then you've got Joel Pedro obviously in the mix also that will play, but I think he's someone that's going to go there and play. Also, they're going 4 competitions as well. They want to go deep in the Champions League, run the Premier League as long as possible and be in touch. Listen, they're still contenders. Like, don't forget about Chelsea. That's the biggest thing, so I think he'll be a hit.
OK, Garnacho, hit to Chelsea. How about Jack Grealish? He started brilliantly, hasn't he, at Everton? Do you think that's going to continue?
I think so. I think everybody was pleased to see Jack move. Not move because to see him play more frequently, and I think the way he started at Everton's brilliant. And do you know what? The club is probably perfect timing to go to Everton in the new stadium, but also David Moyes as a manager is probably the perfect one also.
Yeah, well, 4 assists in 2 games.
Yeah.
Unbelievable start. Finally, Victor Gyökeres, you said the other week that he might be a bit of a flat track bully. Have you seen anything that's made you change your mind?
Played Man United, first game, didn't do a lot. Leeds, scored 2, promoted team, and then yesterday, not a great game. I'm going to stand by where I am. Listen, if I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up later on in the season, but for me, I think he's going to be a miss.
Do you think part of that is because Arsenal don't necessarily know how to play to his strengths yet?
Yes, that's the thing. But also, Arsenal have not played with number 9 for many years now. And I see them, they get in the wide areas and refuse to cross a couple of times because they've never had that vocal point there. So for me now, I'm going to stand by what I said earlier. I do think he'll be a miss. Will he score goals? Yes.
Okay.
But I still don't think he's enough to get him over the line.
Okay, so he could score 20 goals and he's still a flat track bully, is he?
Yeah.
Depends on who he scores against.
Yes, because what we're saying was against the lesser teams, and I know a lot of Arsenal fans were saying, yeah, that's where we want to be, and that's what's stopping us. But until you do it against the big boys, then I'll change my mind then.
Okay, there you have it. Hits or misses with Charlie Austin.
Kobbie Mainoo would be open to move to Champions League club with Man United set to make a decision on Star's Old Trafford future. In next 48 hours, the England midfielder situation has come under intense scrutiny after he was an unused substitute in United's opening 2 Premier League games against Arsenal and Fulham, and it emerged that he is weighing up his options. Mainoo has grown frustrated over his peripheral role since Ruben Amorim was appointed as head coach in November, and would be open to joining a Champions League club. The issue has been exacerbated by the lack of progress in talks over a new contract. 10 clubs have expressed an interest in the 20-year-old, and a number have made contact since it became clear on Monday that he could seek a fresh start elsewhere. United have to decide if they will allow that to happen and whether that would be a loan or a permanent move for the former Academy star. Mainoo has grown frustrated over his peripheral role since Ruben Amorim was appointed as head coach in November. That decision is likely to be made imminently, with just 6 says of the transfer window remaining. The club are coming under pressure to comply with profit and sustainability rules after spending heavily this summer, while struggling to offload players. United are expected to make a significant loss if Rasmus Højlund moves to Napoli and Antony rejoins Real Betis on loan, while Chelsea are said to be some way off meeting the valuation for Alejandro Garnacho.